Hello and welcome to 8-Bit of Knowledge, a new segment at Angry Bananas, hosted by myself, Jose Sagastume. A little bit about the new segment. Well, the idea came along because when you think about mediums like movies, music, and books, there's always certain titles that you know of because they define genres and they have to be seen or heard or read. For example, when we think blockbuster titles, we think of 1975's Jaws because it defined what a blockbuster was. It was the first blockbuster and it created this new genre. Just like those mediums, video games also have titles that you have to play, that you have to experience because they created new genres or just because they're just that amazing that you need to play them. The first game that I'm going to talk about is kind of a given and might seem slightly cliched. This title is called Pong. Now, before I talk about Atari's Pong, which is the birth of the modern gaming industry as we know it, I have to talk about Ralph Baer, who in 1966 developed a prototype for what would be the first home console. It was known as the Brown Box. In 1972, it was released under the name the Magnavox Odyssey. The important thing about this is that it featured 7 games when it first came out. One of these games was a version of tennis that looked a lot like the Pong that we know today. Now, this seems like it might have been a coincidence. I choose to believe that it wasn't, simply because Nolan Bushnell, who is one of the founders of Atari, actually attended what you would call a demo of the Magnavox Odyssey, where he saw this version of tennis. Now, when he created Atari, he hired a guy named Alan Alcord to engineer games for him. When the prototype was finally finished, it was actually put in a bar from an acquaintance of theirs and just left to see, how it would do. And it did pretty well because within the matter of days, people were going to this bar just to play Pong. They were going just for that game. And as time went on, people from other companies were going to see this product so they could make their own rip-offs of the game, their own clones of the games, as you will. And this actually kept Bushnell on his toes. He was always telling his employees, we need to come and think of something new. We need to think of something bigger and better. And in 1974, one of his employees suggested that they create a home version of Pong, call it Home Pong. And Bushnell loved the idea so much that, in fact, by the end of 1974, they had finished the first prototype, and by 1975, they were looking for buyers of the product. They originally approached Sears, which at the time was also selling the Magnavox Odyssey in their sporting goods section, which, when you think about it now, it's kind of funny that they would sell video games in the sports section of Sears. Now, when the Christmas season came around, this became one of the biggest Sears product and the most profitable Sears product that was sold at the time. The whole video game industry as we know it came to be. Now, everyone should play Pong at least once in their lives. At this point, though, with the type of games that we play, it's not all that interesting anymore. You can have fun for a couple of minutes, and if you play with someone else, maybe it could extend it to like 10 or 15 minutes of fun. But after a while, you just tend to get bored of the game. But it's still something that I feel that everyone should play. And if you consider yourself a gamer, or even if you like to play video games casually, you have to check out this title at least once in your life. Now, that pretty much sums it up for our first segment or our first installment, but I promise it'll get a lot more interesting in the future episodes because we'll be talking about titles like Mario Brothers, Doom, 007, Halo, anything you can think of in the most important aspects of the gaming industry. Thank you.
I saw you added that, right?
Yeah.